Hello everyone and welcome to the patch notes for Wild Rift patch 6.1F. This is the final patch of the 6.1 cycle, and yes, we got all the way to F. This is the most amount of patches that we've had in one big cycle, one big patch, and there's a lot of great changes in here. The Callista rework is finally out, but also a few questionable balance changes as well. Of course, in 2 weeks time will be patch 6.2, so I'm sure some of these changes will be prepared for that. But just a few hours ago, you might have seen the patch preview. You might have seen my reaction on the patch preview for patch 6.2. If you haven't already, I'll leave a link down in the description, or you can just head on over to my YouTube channel and watch my reaction to patch 6.2, because that was an absolute banger. Right, let's get into the patch notes for this patch that will be coming out tomorrow on Thursday. We got a few updates to the adventure modes, a few new ones, AAA RAM, double cast, and a few new modes there. Events, BMO's Sweet Surprise, you got some new events. And then we have the champion changes. I have been waiting for this rework for so damn long. When they announced it all the way back in 6.1 preview, I was like, yes, Callista, finally. Like, this champion right now does 0 damage. Her mobility is great, don't get me wrong. I really love her mobility and the way she plays on mobile. I think it's very, very fun. But she just does 0 damage. She can't carry, she can't snowball in the early game. But hopefully with these changes and these adjustments, you know, she might become meta again. 4 more base AD, 1 more attack damage per level, and 8 more health per level. So giving her a little bit more scaling, but also a little bit more early game damage. They are nerfing the dash distance gain from the attack speed from your passive. So I'm assuming that the dash speed is still going to be the same, but you're not going to be able to dash as far. I think this is completely fine. I think with the build that you're going with Callista anyway, you know, the main thing is quickly dashing instead of having a dashing distance. So I think this is completely fine, you know, compared to all the buffs that she's getting. Her first ability is getting buffed with the base damage and the attack damage ratio going up. The third ability, I think this is the biggest buff of all of them. The third ability is such an important tool, the rend, especially during laning phase, if you want to last hit minions, if you want to deal damage, and also if you want to execute someone and try and kill someone when they're low enough on health. Damage per spear stacked is going up by a lot. Like, look at this, it's going up by 10 when you get this at maximum rank. The AD ratio is going down, but only by 1%. So you're getting so much more base damage on your third ability, a lot more damage on your first ability, and your ultimate is going down in the early game by 10 seconds. I'm really excited for this. I mean, I loved Callista when she first released. She was a little bit broken, but basically she just kept getting nerfed and nerfed over and over again. And the reason for that is because Callista was being played a lot in the Baron lane, and they didn't want Callista Baron lane to be a thing. The same with champions like Vayne as well. That's why Vayne got nerfed a few times a couple of months ago. So champions like Callista has basically been completely, you know, deleted from the game, and no one ever picks her at the moment. But hopefully with this rework, as I mentioned, she'll come back into the meta, and I'm definitely going to try her out tomorrow on stream. On to the other changes. This is the only change that we knew that was happening in this patch, really. Camille, this is a very scary buff. I feel like Camille is in a very solid spot at the moment. I always say that Camille's ultimate, Hextech Ultimatum, is one of the best ultimates in the game. She's very easy to split push. She's very mobile as well, thanks to her third ability. Her early game is not that bad either. Increasing her AD by 4 is very, very scary. Like, her early game now is going to be very powerful. I feel like the second ability as well, the HP healed when you hit the outer half, is going from 50% up to 80%, depending on the damage dealt to enemy champions. So now you're going to have more sustain during the laning phase, and you're going to have 4 extra base AD. And that's also going to help in the jungle as well, because damage to jungle camps on your second ability is also going up from 80% up to 95% of the damage of your second ability, plus the base AD that you get as well from Camille, and also fleet footwork being very popular right now with these, you know, Baron lane kind of junglers that can kind of come into the meta. So I think with these buffs, Camille Baron lane is going to be one of the best champions to play, but also they'll be surprised to see maybe a few Camille jungles to see, you know, what the way jungle clear is going to be like, because her ganking potential, again, with her third ability and her ultimate, is very, very powerful. Viego, in my opinion, didn't really need any nerfs. I think it's a champion that has very high skill expression, but there are champions and there are players that can definitely exceed the limits of Viego and just can 1v9 a game. Don't think he needed any buffs. Saying that, the buffs are not really too important in my opinion. The passive is just, health healed when you take an enemy champion, when you take their soul from 5% up to 7%. And then the additional damage with your ultimate, you're just going to be getting a little bit of extra additional damage in the early game to try and snowball a little bit more. Again, I don't think Viego needed nerfs, but I don't think, needed buffs, but I don't think these buffs are going to make him like the most OP champion in the game, because they're not going to do too much. The ultimate normally only gets used when champions are basically 0 HP anyway, because it's based on the target's lost health, so you always want to wait until the end to use this ultimate. And then the passive as well, you get a bit of extra healing, but again, I don't think it's that important. Shadow Assassin basically doesn't really get played at the moment. A lot of people just go for Red Cane, and with Red Cane they just go for the Assassin style. They basically just use it for the knock up and the healing. Shadow Assassin Cane just never really gave you enough damage, so they are buffing the additional damage that you get with Shadow Assassin. Again, it's only up by 4%, so I still think people are going to go for Red Cane instead. And the base damage on the second ability has gone up by quite a bit, 15 damage at every single rank. So again, helping with Kane's jungle clear and helping him a little bit with his burst damage. This is disgusting, by the way. Why are we buffing Rift Walk's cooldown by 1 second at every single rank? Why are we doing this? At maximum rank now, Rift Walk has a 2-second cooldown. That doesn't even include like ability haste that you get from like Archangel stuff and other items as well that you might get. Why are we buffing Castellan's Rift Walk? I mean, any buff to Castellan is very, very scary, because it's a champion that if you buff him too much, then he's just going to run over the game. He has a pretty safe early game already, and he's just going to run over the game once you get to, level 13 or whatever it is, when you get your 3rd rank of your ultimate. And once you get like Archangel, Rod of Ages, Death Gap, you get 3 items with Castellan, you get 3 levels in your ultimate. Yeah, it's already game over. Now it's even going to be more over. 2-second cooldown is absolutely disgusting for Castellan's mobility, and it's going to mean you're going to spam your ultimate not a lot. So you're going to need Archangel, you're going to need Rod of Ages, you might even need Malignance now as well, because you're going to be using your ultimate a lot more often, which means that you're going to be running out of mana probably more often now as well. So very important to make sure that you build the right items at the moment on the Castellan. Twisted Fate ultimate in early game going down by 10 seconds and 5 seconds. Not really too much to see here. I don't think this is going to do too much to Twisted Fate. I barely see this champion at the moment. I just think that it's a lot more utility-based mid laner and not a carry mid laner. There are a lot better mages to play in the mid lane, a lot better AP champions to play in the mid lane, like Syndra, Aurelion Sol, Zoe. There's a lot more better champions that can have more carry potential than Twisted Fate, whereas Twisted Fate is more to do with utility and more to do with the stun card and trying to roam and give your teammates an advantage rather than yourself. Center buff, very interesting. Bonus damage on your first ability going up by 10%, and bonus damage on the ultimate going up by 20%. Most of the time people don't use the ultimate really for damage unless you're at max range and you're trying to use your ultimate across the map. A lot of people don't do that though. It's not like someone like Lux, for example, where you can use your ultimate just for damage. A lot of people keep Senna's ultimate for her shielding, especially during laning phase. But if you do want that extra bit of damage now, 20% extra damage across the map if you want to try and get a kill, it's also a lot easier to dodge as well because the radius is a lot smaller. But in general, decent buffs I should say for Senna. First ability going up by 10% is quite nice, and the ultimate damage going up by 20%. Aatrox's passive is getting nerfed, so the basic attack damage is going from 5 to 15% down to 4 to 13%. The first ability, the base damage is going down, but the bonus damage dealt by Sweet Spot is going up by 10%. So this means now it's going to be more important to hit your Sweet Spot. So before, if you took the 105 base damage and added the 50%, you'd get like 157, 156 basically damage with your first ability. Now you're going to be getting 160 base damage. Of course, that doesn't include any AD items or anything that you might get. Of course, if you get AD items, then this percentage and the damage is just going to go up even more with your Sweet Spot. So actually, this is a pretty big buff to your first ability. You are losing, 10 base damage in the early game, and of course the bonus damage is not going to mean too much during the laning phase, but overall I think this is a buff to the first ability. people already kind of sussed out how to hit enemies with the sweet spot. You know, your third part of your first ability, you know, with your flash on top of that, guaranteeing that sweet spot damage. I think this is a buff. They did nerf the passive, which is the auto attack damage based on the enemy's maximum health. I don't think that's going to mean too much, but this is actually a buff to players that actually know how to play Aatrox and know how to hit that sweet spot. Again, a very scary buff. Aatrox and Camille both getting buffed this patch, I think is very scary for the Baron lane. Both these champions, I think, are going to be very powerful. Even Aatrox jungle as well. Aatrox jungle is going to be even stronger as well. Maybe this is going to hurt a little bit, actually, the passive when clearing through the jungle, because of course, like, you know, the jungle camps in the early game have a lot of health. We'll have to wait and see. Again, you can just run fleet footwork and it will help with your jungle clear speed. Swain, we know that Swain is getting a rework thanks to the patch preview. They are making some changes before the rework, though. They're actually nerfing the first ability's bonus damage. What is this? From 42 down to 32%. That is a crazy nerf. That is absolutely crazy. I'm not too sure what the bonus damage is. I'm assuming this is the bonus damage when you only hit one enemy unit or one enemy champion. I could be wrong. I can't think of Swain's abilities and what the bonus damage is on the first ability. If you know, let me know down in the comments. I'm pretty sure this is to do with isolated champions, like isolated units. So if you only hit your first ability on one champion, you normally deal bonus damage. I think this is that bonus damage. So that bonus damage is going down by quite a lot, 10% bonus damage going down. So I think Swain is one of the most underrated champions to play at the moment. I think he's a great counter to this meta. There's a lot of melee champions, a lot of champions that want to all in, play aggressive, try and engage. Swain just uses his ultimate, has a lot of tankiness, has a lot of damage as well. This nerf's definitely going to hurt him for sure, but I still think he'll be fine. Mumu nerfs, thank God, man. Thank God this champion's getting nerfed again. This champion is just way too strong. It's a brain dead jungler to play, super easy to play, very tanky, can solo Baron, does a lot of damage. I mean, this champion is just absolutely disgusting. Base HP is going down by 30. Third ability, the AD reduction is going down by a lot, actually. Wow. That reduced AD damage taken on the third ability is great. I love this nerf. This is gonna, it doesn't really affect him in jungle too much, but it means that when he's ganking and obviously when he's taking damage from champions, this means that he's not going to take as much damage, and the base damage is going down by 20 at every single rank. Great nerfs to Mumu. Hopefully this kills the Mumu jungle, because that champion is just so frustrating to play at the moment and one of the most annoying champions to play against. Sometimes I ban a Mumu. You don't see a Mumu a lot in like legendary queue or high elos like Challenger and Sovereign. You don't see a Mumu too much because people know how to play against it, but it's one of them champions, again, if you play him in low elo, one of the easiest champions to play as well. So it will allow you to learn how to play jungle and just, you know, 1v9 games basically every single time. And another Zilean nerf. They were like, we're going to touch Zilean a little bit to see if it affects the win rate and see if it affects how strong the champion is. Oh no, the champion's still broken. Let's just nerf him even more. I mean, yeah, I banned Zilean every single game. This champion is just absolutely disgusting. I do think though that some of these nerfs are definitely going to affect him quite a bit. Time in a bottle added initial cooldown from 0 seconds up to 13 seconds. Experience can be converted every 5 seconds. The experience has gone down now. I wonder, this might affect, so there's basically a thing with Zilean in the Joy lane where you can cheese level 2. If you play Zilean support, you've probably seen this already, but normally you need to clear an entire minion wave and 1 minion after that to get level 2. But with Zilean, if you clear the first wave, you can use your passive, give you you and your AD carry experience, and you're already level 2 before the second wave even reaches you. So I think this is going to basically stop that, and also stop you just giving more experience over to your allies in mid and late game. This ability is by far the most broken ability with Zilean. Thank God the base shield is going down by 20, and also the ability haste is also going down as well, but from 100% down to 80%. You needed to nerf this ability. Like, the shielding was just way too strong. to be honest, the movement speed is strong as well. I think they touched the movement speed and the cooldown reduction, if I'm not mistaken, in that hotfix nerf that happened a few weeks ago. But now they're just nerfing it even more, just making sure that this champion is just out of the meta, or trying to get it out of the meta. And then the third ability, the movement speed reduction, has gone down by 10% at every single rank. This is basically the only use that you get from the third ability, because timing the third ability and trying to block things like, I don't know, Blitzcrank hook, Nautilus hook, it's really good for blocking like Misfortune ulti, like these channeled abilities that you know is going to be happening for a long time. But trying to time like your third ability with, like I said, Blitzcrank hook or Nautilus hook can be a little bit difficult. So most of the time this ability is used for zoning. You know, you can use the third ability if, say, like a Renekton's jumping on your AD carry, a Kha'Zix, anyone like that, you can just reduce the movement speed. Now the movement speed is not going to be reduced as much. Hopefully this nerfs Zillion enough that I can stop banning this champion. I might have to ban like Camille or Aatrox instead. Honestly, at the moment, I might be banning Ambessa, because Ambessa's rework at the moment is very scary, and I think that might be the champion I might be banning in the next patch. We'll have to wait and see. And finally, some item changes. Horizon Focus is not actually really getting buffed, to be fair. Reveal duration is going up, yippee. Surrounding enemy champions reveal duration going up, yippee, and the cooldown's going down. I mean, I don't really like this item. I don't think this item really gives you any benefit at all compared to other items in the game that just give you so much more damage and so much better passives. This doesn't really do anything at all. Yeah, this is not really going to do anything to Horizon Focus. They are trying to do some changes though to Conqueror and Grasp. So basically the meta at the moment in Baron Lane is every single bruiser takes Grasp of the Undying. Sometimes they take Fleet Footwork, but most of the time they take Grasp of the Undying. Even though they did change the way that Grasp works, where it's now only based on your maximum health, it's not based on your bonus attack damage or bonus ability power. So a lot of people tried out Fleet Footwork, tried out Conqueror, but overall Grasp of the Undying just gives you way too much free HP. It gives you sustain during the laning phase as well, so it means that you can trade. You can take them short trades a lot easier, and also you get a bit of healing, and also the bonus damage scaling was also pretty great as well. If you're playing champions like Camille, for example, Divine Sunderer, Sterix Gage, these two items, just both of them together give you so much maximum health, which means that the bonus damage just kept on getting more and more. So they are nerfing the bonus damage from 3% down to 2%. Conqueror, they are trying to make it, I guess, a little bit meta again. There are some champions that are just always going to take Conqueror. You're only getting 1 extra AD per stack, which, if my memory serves me correctly, that's 5 extra AD that you'll be getting, because there's 6 stacks with Conqueror, 5 stacks you get the bonus attack damage, and 6 stacks you gain the big bonus damage. And then you're getting between 1 and 3 extra ability power. Most of the time, mages and ability power champions just take Electrocute or First Strike. Be interesting to see if this Conqueror changes any of that. I don't think it will, because like I said, with mages and with ability power assassins in general, it's all to do with burst damage, so it's very difficult to find a champion that can use Conqueror, or AP champions that can use Conqueror that want them prolonged fights. Maybe someone like Gwen, you know, Gwen could use Conqueror again. I think that at the moment, Gwen with Fleet Footwork is just very powerful, because you can auto attack twice very quickly, which stacks your first ability, which gets that out much quicker. But maybe you might be able to use Conqueror again. And then the healing on hit at maximum stacks. The ranged healing is not going up, but it's just the melee healing. Of course, this is going to buff like AD carries a little bit if you go Conqueror, but I don't think it's going to mean that lethal tempo is going to be completely dead. I still think lethal tempo is going to be the go-to rune for AD carries, but it means that you have that a little bit of flexibility, and Conqueror can be another option if you want to. And no skins for this patch. So yeah, that is the last patch, 6.1F, the last patch of patch 6.1 until we get 6.2 in 2 weeks time. Just a reminder, this patch is out tomorrow on Thursday. I will be live over on YouTube and my Twitch channel testing out a lot of these changes. I'll definitely be playing Kalista, of course, Camille as well, one of my favorite Baron Lane champions to play, and of course we'll test out some other champions and changes as well to the meta. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this rundown of the patch. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, take care, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.